So I was watching this video from David Cho, who's an interesting artist in his own right. I didn't get noticed, or I didn't. I might have known about him before The Mandalorian, but there was an episode of The Mandalorian where there was graffiti on the walls in the city, and that graffiti in Star Wars doesn't exist. Just like people wearing glasses, that is not a thing in Star Wars,
Hmm.
um, except in the Mandalorian. But in the making of this particular episode, they were talking to the director, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I got David Cho to do the graffiti, blah blah blah." And David Cho starts talking about this, that, and the other, why he did it, because he had broken down this graffiti to like three different layers or levels. And he's like, well, the
Mm-hmm.
tall aliens did this, the medium sized aliens did this, and all this little low level stuff is done by the Jawas. And he's like, oh, I got my kids to do the Jawa graffiti. And it was kind of adorable, right?
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense because it would be at the right level, right? For
I mean,
sure.
why crouch down to 4 feet when you could have your kids who are 4 feet to do it? Just let them let them go nuts. But so David Cho was talking, and one of his videos, which I don't have linked, was talking about how trauma makes the best art. And as much as I want to disagree with that, he's kind of right. Kind of.
Okay.
Or
Go on.
he's right. He's right. And so this weekend or week, we had a lot of trauma come to us quick, quick. And no doubt about it. And so I figured on the excuse me, Monday, I ended up doing some practice work for my sidewalk chalk event that is coming up in 8 days. And so
That
I've
sounds fun.
done it. It does. It's a little scary because I haven't done anything that big.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Hell, this up until this year, I haven't touched any pastels for years. And in order to apply for this event that is happening in downtown Lakeville
Mm-hmm.
on July 14th, it is you had to submit an 8 by 8 inch sample of your pastel work or chalk work.
All
And
right.
so, one day I set up a little panel and I started drawing on it and going back and forth. I think I did a stream of it too. So I got this sample done, submitted it. 2 weeks later, I got admitted into the event, and then I asked one of the coordinators because my drawing is fine. I can blow it up to 10 feet by 10 feet or whatever size I need. But you know me, next big idea comes about, and I don't want to do the old idea. So, so I was like, "Am I glued to the sample?" And she said no. So I've been thinking about how I can make like stencils with the laser cutter to do something else, et cetera, et cetera. And I came upon the idea of wanting to do like just one of the old timey taxidermy bugs.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, they're pinned
Mm-hmm.
out, they're on white, and so that came to the real like, let's do that. And I thought, so I started doing. Can you see this?
Oh man, you sort of did an outline for it first. I didn't realize you did that. I thought you just kind of started with it.
So I
I can
cut
see your
this.
whole screen, including your your menu and everything right now.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I'll go full screen. Oh, come on, Goofy. View, go full intro full screen mode. Okay, better. Yep.
Nope. Still seeing the menu and whatnot like that.
Ah, dang it! Come on, guys. Bear with it. If you're watching this live and you're seeing these stutters and sputters, you're cool. You get to see some of the behind the scenes shit. If you're watching this as a segmented show, as later on, you'll see clever edits. I promise. Um,
Yeah, it looks I just got a just got a shared screen from one of our viewers who's helping us
oh,
figure this out. Do you want me to send it off to you? Show you
um,
what they're seeing?
sure, sure.
Okay, hold on.
And like right now, my what I see on my iPad is just like my thumbnail of me holding this, and the oops, I paused it,
Yeah, I'll
and
send
I should mute
on
this.
Discord.
Yeah,
There's
and
that
then it
image.
bought.
So it's basically like your screen and
Okay,
you on the side.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
I just got another one from one of our viewers who's actually looking at it on a handheld device.
Uh-huh.
And send you that image so you can take a look at what everybody's seeing. It's
Hey,
basically the same thing, just in a different format. He's on our live chat too, so if you are monitoring that, I don't know if I have a way to monitor that myself, but
um,
take a look.
it's in a book. Okay. Let's see. I don't see anything in the live chat yet. Do I? I don't.
Okay. Well, I
Uh,
mean, I don't know if they put anything in it, but they definitely have it
that's cool.
open.
But
So,
I
yeah.
appreciate guys. I appreciate the feedback, and
Yeah, it's super helpful for us to have you guys on the other end, just basically helping us figure this out. Um, we had an idea of reading the first 5 pages of Palo Alto, which I'm not exactly sure what that is. So I'm sending out a question in regards to that.
what?
I don't know. Yeah,
What?
some book. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, we'll
So,
see.
all right.
And we're still switching back and forth between, who's speaking, who's not.
Mhm.
Um,
On
let's see
YouTube, it
here.
looks like my picture is the big thing, and whoever is speaking gets to be the thumbnail on the side,
Okay.
and that's all right too. Cool. All right. So you want to? All right. I'm gonna just power through and continue until unless you need a if you want to take a feedback break while I'm talking, by all means,
No, go
chime
ahead,
in.
please. You got the gift for gab here, and I'm the reactor, the mirror, and the occasional give you a little bit of suggestion or something like that.
Oh, there.
And I'm also monitoring our social channels at this point. The other I it we may not actually have a live chat set up at this point with this, so I don't know if that's
We
it
do.
looks like
I'm seeing the chat on my iPad, and I have said hello to the first person. Hi to the first person. So
okay, wonderful.
life is pretty
Fantastic.
good.
Yay.
All
So
right. So
fantastic. And anybody who wants can go ahead and share this out to their friends if they just want, something to listen to while they're, doing their thing. We like to do a little bit of a long form for the weekends, but, you know,
yeah,
feel free to pop in and pop out. We're just
yeah,
here.
absolutely. So this is more exciting than I thought. All right. So the night before I had drawn out a cardboard stencil of or an outline of a grasshopper. And So the grasshopper was selected because, little known fact, Salvador Dali was afraid of grasshoppers. Um, it is,
Okay. I mean,
it is,
everybody has their bug that they're icked out by.
yeah. So like when I learned that fact a few years ago, I started incorporating grasshoppers in it wherever I could in my artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Not all the time, but every once in a while. And it's not like I hate Salvador Dali because I love Salvador Dali, but I'm like, that's cool. He's not going to come haunt me. Um, so so I grabbed one of the biggest pieces of chunks of cardboard I have, and I used a projector to put the a rough outline on, traced it out with a box cutter too late at night, and just carved one out so that I could then, yeah, just
Oh, so you
outlining it.
just sort of had a little outline of it.
So I had an outline of everything. Yes, I could draw it on my own, but man, did this save me some time. And so in this picture, you can also see that I'm starting my I have my knee pad on, so that black outline with that little green thing, knee pads.
Hmm.
I pre-planned this because I'm like my knees are old, arthritic, and so is the back, and I'm going to use everything I can.
I
So
mean, that's really important, you know.
it
It's
is.
and you know, to all of our viewers, I know there's some of you who are a little younger, some of you who are a little bit older. Please take care of yourself. Self-care is super important. In fact,
You know,
if you're not hydrating, this is your hydration reminder.
good point. Off camera, there were three. There was this little cooler with 3 bottles of water and ice waiting for me. Also off camera, there is a box of tissues, a little trash bag, because when you're working with pastels, charcoals, or anything that leaves a lot of dust, it is going to go in your nose eventually. So I just, every once in a while, blew my nose to make sure to monitor how much crap is actually going up in there. It's kind of like this the silent version of if you can smell smoke, you're breathing smoke. Um,
Right.
so yeah, there's nothing more fun when I was 19, 20 years old in a drawing studio working on with pastels for 6 hours a day, and then finding out you have rainbow snot. Um, so yeah, um, and in this shot, there's a carrying case that I used as a palette for my paints because like I'm using tempera paints to block out the shape. And that apparently is one of the best ways to prime your surface is just use tempera paint so that um, it's embedded into the sidewalk, and you can color on top of that instead of having to like use a shit ton of chalk that will brush away easier. So this is like the hack that not a lot of YouTubers show, but when you go to a big event, a sidewalk chalk event, you'll see
Hmm.
everybody's doing it, and that's
Oh,
cool.
interesting.
So like for the next time I do this, I'll in 8 days in Lakeville. First, I will block out a shape of white for where my bug's going to go, and then once that dries, I'll do a block out a shape of the bug itself. So the white will be the whatever surface the bug is actually like pinned to, and then the color of the bug, maybe even the wings too. And then I'll do a black border around it to look like a frame. So then this is the first like details of where things are in the on the grasshopper. Um, and then I grabbed a stencil I had of Salvador Dali. This is a 2 by 2 foot stencil, and
Okay.
I had bought at a grocery store, a hardware store, a can of spray chalk, and I wanted to see how good it worked. And it's not in this shot; it's not completely dry, so you have some of the unevenness, but it came out okay. And I had enough. So the one little can was enough to do this. So flip flop, maybe 4.5 square feet. That's all that's available in that one little can. So maybe $1 per square foot. That's what the can breaks down to. Um, so if I'm working on a 10 by 10 foot area, it's not cost effective at all.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I mean, I get the idea with art that cost effectiveness is only a secondary thing to a lot of people, but you know.
It is, but for something that's going to wash away, uh,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. That's true. I mean, really, all you get is like photographs and stuff like that. So.
but what the takeaway from doing this is that if I have like a cool texture that I may want to hide or use to beef up a drawing, that yes, I could do that. I could lay that over my drawing and then put that in as like a cool texture at the end. And with sprays, that might be pretty cool.
Hmm.
And here it is with a little bit of orange to figure out where I'm going. My reference picture is down at the bottom left, covered by some of the pastels. It was kind of a windy day, so anything that could blow away had to be held down.
Pinned down
Uh,
somehow.
yeah, and like uh, you can use a lot of things to blend the paint or blend the pastels and chalks onto your painted surface. Like some people use chunks of pool noodle paint brushes. I grabbed a nylon brush that was too stiff, and I was actually scraping off some of my tempera paint that I brushed on, and then you're just seeing some of the raised surfaces of the sidewalk. So I had to readjust which brushes I was using and how heavy handed I
I suppose you
was
could
going.
bring some grits of sandpaper for something like this if you wanted to basically do some additive and then some subtractive sorts
Yeah,
of things for this particular art piece or, anything that you do in this medium.
yeah,
Um,
that'd be cool.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, are you going to do more of this? Did you say that there was
hmm
another thing and this was
Um,
just sort of your practice piece?
yeah, this is the practice piece. And so when I go to the event um, in 8 days, um,
Where's that event?
yeah,
Why don't you tell
it
our
is
listeners just
down.
in case they happen to be there? Who knows? I
It is
doubt they
in
are.
down. It is in downtown Lakeville, and just on the south side of the Twin Cities metropolitan area. The I think I have a link for it on my Instagram page at Rickstro. I know I do have one on my Facebook page, but I will share the post, the link to that on YouTube since you all have found us here. I will post it on YouTube later tonight, and I am grabbing a piece of paper to remind
To
myself to
remind
do
yourself of all the things that you have to do at the end of the
Yep,
thing, post in the
yep,
comments or whatever.
yep, yep. That's what we
Hmm.
do.
Yeah, well, I really like this. I mean, in summer, this is a really fun sort of like art thing to do if you have a little bit of time and, you're feeling a little bit of playful, this is definitely
Yeah,
something, and especially if you feel like you want to share this sort of thing, it's always nice to go to a public area and, just chalk it up.
yeah,
I mean, I know that some people are artists and they like to just, art for art's sake. I believe you're one of those people, so.
yeah. Yeah. One of my buddies so let's see, we had a friend, Kelly, who was doing an event in the North Burbs,
Hmm.
uh, and we showed up to support her. And then one of our friends, Juanita, was like, "Oh, we should do a paint party at my place." Blah blah blah. I have a big driveway and big sidewalks, and it turns out her area does not permit such things. So I was like, "Oh well, I will find another place." And like, I'm like, well, it's always nice to do stuff like this with a group,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
it doesn't require a group. So I'm like, I'll just go out in my front yard. If my neighbor wants to talk to me, I'm gonna bitch about the day. It's flat out. So I think I was left alone on purpose, and that's okay. But you can see, like in my reference picture down below, that there's the grasshopper, and it's
Do you have a picture of that just by itself so you could put
I
it up
do.
for everybody? Would you do that,
I
please?
Yeah, yeah.
Or split screen it if there's a possible way of doing that? Oh, hey, look, we can see your whole thing.
I was just making all the way to the progress. I just don't know if I didn't put it in this.
Oh, you didn't put it in that
I
section.
didn't put it in this. Sorry. Let's see, where were we? Okay. So then I started to add more color along with sidewalk chalks, pastels work really well. Pastels have a much buttery feel to them, and they're a lot brighter than the sidewalk chalks. I'm using
And
Crayolas
more expensive.
and more expensive. Yeah, never forget. Um, so
Right.
so those are I just bought those from Michaels. They are much smaller than the other pastels I own, and they're the economy version. And so like I totally ate up a couple of the blocks, but I realized that, like I was while I was eating up some of the ones that weren't black, I realized I'm gonna have to go to Plan B for outlining it and shit. So, like the general as I was going along, my general thought was, okay, now that I have the painted layer, I'm probably going to be using just a little pastel and more chalk, and then get the chalk to be a really decent base layer, and then all my highlighted stuff will be done with the pastel, so it doesn't have to use up as
I mean, that makes
much.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Highlights and dark lights at the end.
yeah. So there's there's that, and there's just some more being added to it.
Hmm.
My skeletos, and yeah, just more adding, and then this is when it really jumps because this is where like my darkest areas are supposed to go,
Hmm.
and I thought first I was like, okay, I'm gonna be using blues, purples, and then go to black to outline it, and so like this is like, oh, I should stop now. It's
I
so
mean, it's
electric.
pretty cool. It could probably use a little bit more detail than that, but I do like yeah, like you said, the kind of neon quality to it, I guess.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
electric. And I was like, oh, I should stop. And I'm like, it's not done. So then once I
Eh.
started adding purple and black, black is like, as Bob Ross would say, like your bravery test. Once you start putting that in,
Hmm.
it's hard to undo it. Um,
Right.
Not
I
impossible,
mean,
but it's
you could blend it, blend it
yes.
out, or like, over highlight sections of it to redo it. But yeah, you're right. Black
And I
does
could
kind of.
and I could probably grab some white temper paint, go over top of it, turn it into a little bit of a gray, but it's fixed for temporarily, and then start to work over top of that. But I'm like, no, we're just gonna go,
Okay.
and and that's almost done, and then here it is done with the shadow.
Oh, that's pretty
Okay,
good.
and that's create what Crayola calls black. And I was doing I would do test marks on off camera or out of frame to see like what this color looked like. That black is gray.
Right.
So I was
That's,
like,
I mean, I would have almost guessed like a dark brown instead of like a gray, but you're right. You're
mhm,
right. I mean, it's definitely not black black. That other thing, the pastel one that you had was like the super black one. So yeah,
right.
very nice. I like that shadow. You did a really good job like making that shadow. I'm actually pretty bad at shadows. I never know how like something's gonna fall, or I have trouble doing stuff with light. Like I usually draw a lot of the things that I draw just like individually, white background, no specific like shadows or highlights or anything, unless it's like just a little bit to like see the shape of the thing, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, like when people work with light and whatnot like that, I find that quite impressive. So yeah,
Well,
very good, very good.
thank
Yeah,
you.
definitely.
The shadow was the easiest part because there's no blending on it.
Hmm.
It's straight onto the concrete. And yeah, it's now my secret weapon. That's no longer secret to just yeah, instant shadow.
Right.
And yeah, so I'm just got a couple of shots of it from different angles. Oh, that is without shadow. Okay, so yeah, there we go. Just looking at the best. Oh, and there we are. The
That's
next
the
day.
end of it, huh? Aw.
So yeah, I
I
had
mean,
two.
that sort of reminds me of like, do you know the how like the mandalas are made with sand, where
Yeah.
a bunch of people get together and make a giant sand painting basically,
Hmm.
and then part of the process after the very meditative making of it with the very specific tools where you the
Hmm.
make the sand so it comes right down in exactly where you want it and whatnot, that takes hours and hours and many people worth of work. And then part of it at the end, after everybody's enjoyed it, it's been available for viewing for a certain amount of time, whatever, they have set, that
Hmm.
part of it is washing it away. They actually have like ceremonial, like
Hmm. I
sweepers,
can.
brooms and stuff that sort of like wash it into this beautiful, like all different colors stream, and then all the colors just get swept up and it's kind of gray, and they, do whatever they do with the sand. I'm not exactly sure, but
Yeah, it's like
that's
an etch
part
a
of the
sketch.
process. Yeah, is understanding that this too is temporary. All things are temporary.